Welcome to the Chesapeake Capital monthly market and economic update for November 2024. I'm your host, Eric Jefferson, managing partner with Chesapeake. A lot to talk about. Before we get started, a few quick words from our legal team. With that, we can go ahead, dive right in. I want to touch on some of the key headlines as we head into the holiday season here. First and foremost, over the weekend, Scott Bessent nominated for U.S. Treasury Secretary. Thus far, granted only a few hours of trading since that announcement, market reaction has been favorable, largely due to the fact that as a former hedge fund manager, Bessett's seen more as that steady hand, likely to bring some consistency to the key policy choices ahead. In expectation of that more balanced policy, we've actually seen yields come down, particularly in the longer end of the curve. Again, that's an area that's much more sensitive to inflation expectations, and they thought that more consistency in that role will certainly provide better overall environment for bond investors. Turning to the stock market, conclude the Q3 earnings season results good by all accounts. The S&P 500 golden child, NVIDIA, the famed semiconductor company, reported last week results good as well, although not groundbreaking like they have been in quarters past. And think that actually helps support a narrative with respect to a continued broadening out in stock participation. Previously, if you go back the last few years, NVIDIA was a name that you simply couldn't afford to not own. Had offered investors 1,000% returns. Now, with that expectation for future growth potentially tapering, I think you are seeing a handful of investors take some gains there, look to redeploy into more favorably valued asset classes and sectors, things like high quality U.S. small and mid cap companies, certainly an area that we think very attractive today. On the economic front, data continues to support the soft landing narrative. GDP growth remains firm above trend. Inflation is moderating. Granted, that pace of moderation has slowed a little bit, something we will certainly continue to watch. But more importantly, that has not stopped the consumer, at least when it comes to consumer spending. Retail sales continue to surprise to the upside, trend we expect to certainly kick off as we get into the holiday shopping season. And other news, Gary Gensler, head of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC being the capital market watchdog, he will be stepping down come January of next year. He was a longtime opponent of cryptocurrencies. Not surprisingly, you have seen a handful of those digital currencies rally, Bitcoin in particular, approaching the $100,000 mark. Lastly, in this month's Asking for a Friend, we have received a handful of questions asking or referencing rather Warren Buffett's all-time high cash allocation. Is that a bearish indicator? Is that something should translate to portfolio activity? We're going to take a deeper dive into his investment approach, ultimately go through how his allocations, his choices may not necessarily reflect what should take place in a retail investor portfolio. That's all for this week. I want to thank you again for taking the time to join us. Wish you and your loved ones a very happy Thanksgiving. As always, please feel free to reach out with any questions. Thanks.